You are not a real man. Kicking mom out over a tiny mistake she made 20 years ago? Pathetic. That was what my daughter, Ayoka, said to me, face full of contempt like I was the villain in her story. She stood tall in the doorway, arms crossed, her words sharp and cold. She was defending her mother. The same woman who just found out, along with me, that the daughter we raised together was not mine. Not by blood. Not legally. And not anymore, emotionally. I did not raise my voice. I did not flinch. I just reached into the envelope in my hand and pulled out 2 pieces of paper, the paternity results and the address of her actual father. Take these, I said calmly, and start packing. You have 30 minutes. Let me back up. It all started with a late-night phone call. One of those where you think it is either a scam or something tragic. Turned out it was both. Some man named Makia, drunk, slurring his words, said his name like we were old pals. Ever wonder why Ayoka doesn't look a thing like you? He asked. Then he laughed like we were on the same losing team. I hung up, but the thought, his question, burrowed into my head like a tick. I could not sleep. I sat at the edge of the bed, watching my wife, Salali, breathe softly like nothing could touch her. Salali, my wife of 22 years. The woman I had called the love of my life. At least, I used to. Over the next few weeks, I spiraled. I took a brush that Ayoka used and mailed it to a lab I found online. $299. That was the price of the truth. I told no one, not even Salali. I had to know if Makia was just some bitter drunk, or if I had been living inside a carefully staged illusion. The results came back 2 days before our wedding anniversary. 0% match. I stared at the page like it had punched me in the gut. My hands trembled. And then I laughed, an empty, bitter laugh. Not because anything was funny, but because sometimes laughter is all your body has left when your heart gives out. I had raised this girl, paid for her braces, cheered at her graduation, held her through heartbreak. And now I learned she was never mine. And Salali? She had lied every single day we were married. I didn't confront her right away. I needed more. I tore through old photos, calendars, anything to piece together the timeline. That's when I found the old journal she used to write in, way back when we were first married. She never thought I'd read it. July 3rd. I should not have gone to that club, but it felt good. 5 men. I was reckless, but he will never know. He was out of town on that work trip. Still, I cannot stop thinking about Makia. My heart stopped. 5. Not 1. Not some mistake. She had turned my loyalty into a punchline. While I was busting my back working double shifts to save for our first house, she was out spinning the roulette wheel with strangers. The next morning, I made breakfast. Eggs, toast, coffee, and right there at the center of the table, the test results and the journal. She came down wearing that same silk robe like it was just any other morning. Smiled at me like she deserved a parade. What's all this? She asked. Breakfast, I said. And a funeral. She blinked. I slid the papers across the table. She read them, quiet at first, then narrowed her eyes. You went through my journal? That was her first concern. Not the truth. Not the betrayal. Just her privacy. That's what you're upset about? I asked. Oh, please, Dakota, she scoffed. That was years ago. We weren't even married yet. You're seriously going to blow up everything over something from before the vows. You lied. Every day. You looked me in the eyes and let me raise a child that wasn't mine. It was one stupid night. No, I said. It was 5. 5 men. And 1 daughter I have no claim to anymore. That is when Ayoka walked into the kitchen. She glanced down at the table, saw the papers, then looked at me. You're pathetic, she said. Salali did not deny a thing. She just folded her arms and smirked like the villain who thought she had already won. I stayed calm. Dead calm. You've got 30 minutes, I told Ayoka, handing her the address of Makia. Go meet your real father. I am done playing the fool. But this was just the beginning. Ayoka stormed up the stairs, muttering under her breath. Slammed the door like a child. I didn't chase her. I didn't say a word. I stayed in that kitchen, watching Salali sip her coffee like nothing had changed. You're really going to let this end everything? She asked. You're throwing away 22 years over a technicality? A technicality? I said, slow and cold. You call 5 men and a child that is not mine a technicality? We weren't married yet. Then why lie for 2 decades? She rolled her eyes. Because I knew you'd leave if I told you the truth. And I needed you back then. That's all. That landed like a brick to the chest. She needed me. Not loved me. Needed me. Like a credit line. I sank into a chair, trying to process it all. My ears rang, not from rage. That would come later. No, this was the numbness before the storm. She finally set her coffee down and looked at me square. What's your plan now, Dakota? Cry to your lawyer? Take the house. She didn't know I had already spoken to an attorney. She didn't know I had already removed myself from her personal debts, pulled every joint account statement, and gathered all the proof I needed. She thought I was still the same man who kissed her forehead every night, brought her coffee on Sundays. But that man was gone. I'm not crying, I said. I'm building a fire. She snorted. You're pathetic. You're blowing up your whole life over one little slip. One slip. I replied. It was 5. It was lies. And it was 2 decades of pretending. Her smirk cracked for the first time. You think she'll stay with you after this? Ayoka's my daughter. She'll come with me. She's not a pawn anymore, I said. She's an adult. She will decide for herself. I gave her what you never did, truth. Her eyes narrowed. So what now? You're going to play the hero. No, I said. I'm going to be the man who's done being played. I stood. My heart pounded like a drum. I wanted to scream. Smash something. Anything. But I didn't. That would have been too easy. No, I wanted her to feel it. Slowly. Let her watch everything she built on lies fall apart piece by piece. You've got 1 hour to find a place to go, I said. After that, I'm changing the locks. She let out a laugh, but her voice shook. You can't throw me out, Dakota. I have rights. You sure do, I said. And I have evidence. And a lawyer who is ready to go to war. She grabbed her phone and walked away, mumbling something I didn't catch. And in that moment, something inside me settled. Not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. For 22 years, I thought I was building a life with a woman who loved me. But now I knew the truth. I had been a background character in her con. But the script had changed. And now, I was the one holding the pen. What truth? She snapped. You gave her a test result and told her I cheated. Big deal. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small flash drive. Spun it between my fingers. She froze. What is that? Recordings, I said. Our last 3 fights. Every journal entry I scanned. All backed up. My attorney has a copy. So does my brother, Elon. There's another on a remote drive. Her nostrils flared. You were sick. No, I said, calm as ever. I am ready. And for the first time, I saw something in her eyes I had never seen before, fear. She realized I was not bluffing. I was not folding. Not this time. She grabbed her phone and started tapping like mad, probably texting whoever was next on her list. I let her. I was past the point of caring. Then there was a knock at the door. We both froze. She looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, I saw hesitation behind her mask. I walked to the door, opened it. A man stood there. Cheap suit. Greasy hair. Slick grin. Dakota, right? He asked. I am Tolan, your wife's attorney. Just here to have a friendly talk. I stared at him. You are 58 minutes early. She is not on the lease anymore. He smirked like he had heard it all before. You are really going through with this? Over what? A misunderstanding? Yeah, I said. A misunderstanding involving 5 men and a lab result. He chuckled, but it faded fast. Look, she is open to a civil solution. She wants the car, modest alimony, and visitation if Ayoka chooses to stay with you. I stared him down. She gets nothing. His eyebrows lifted. That is not how divorce works, my friend. I handed him a manila envelope. Inside, detailed account statements, dated photos of Salali and Makia in Las Vegas, just 5 years ago, not 2 decades, plus scanned pages from her journal, where she mocked me, called me blind. Stupid. He flipped through it all in silence. Then closed it. Slower this time. I'll need to speak with my client. I shut the door in his face. Upstairs, she must have seen him walking away. When I came back into the room, she was pale, still holding her suitcase. But her swagger had vanished. I warned you, I said quietly. I'm not your husband anymore. I'm the cleanup crew for the disaster you caused. She opened her mouth, closed it, then finally spoke. You were never enough for me, she said. Cold. Flat. You were soft. Clingy. I married you because I was pregnant and scared, not because I loved you. I smiled. Well, thank you for the honesty. She shoved past me, dragging her suitcase like it had insulted her. Stormed down the stairs. Just before she opened the front door, she looked back one last time. This is not over. I nodded. No, it is just getting started. Then she was gone. And I stood in the hallway, finally alone. The silence louder than her exit. But for the first time in years, I did not feel hollow. I felt free. That night, I could not sleep. Not because I missed her. Not because of sadness. No. Those things died the moment she looked me in the eyes and told me I was never enough. That was the final wound. The one I needed to start healing. I sat in Ayoka's room. Same spot where I used to read to her at night. The lava lamp still glowed in the corner, casting soft waves of color across the walls. But everything was different now. The memories felt stolen. The photos on the shelf felt like museum pieces, displays from a life I thought was mine. I remembered the way she looked at me that morning. Like I had ruined everything. Like I was the one who broke this family. I tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. Texted her. No reply. By midday, I got a message back. 4 words. Do not contact me. Just like that, my daughter, at least in the only way that ever mattered, was gone. She chose lies over love. Chose the woman who betrayed us both over the man who raised her, paid for her school, held her hand through sickness. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. It felt colder than anything Salali had said. I walked out to the garage. Found an old bottle of Jack I had sworn off years ago. Took 2 swigs. Let it burn. That is when Elon called. You holding up? He asked. No, I said. She is gone. Both of them. He was quiet for a while. I know you do not want to hear this, but you need to stay sharp. Salali is not the type to go down quietly. I have the proof. Yeah, he said. And she has a gift for spinning the truth. You know that. He was right. Salali could charm a rattlesnake. She could paint herself as the victim in a story she wrote with poison ink. But I was not scared anymore. I was tired of being the guy who forgave, who stayed silent, who got flattened just to keep the peace. That evening, there was another knock at the door. I opened it to find Kendra standing there. Someone I had not seen in almost 10 years. Salali's old friend. She vanished from our lives after a girl's trip to Miami. Her eyes were cautious, like she expected Salali to jump out from behind a curtain. Can I come in? She asked. We sat at the kitchen table. She looked around, then leaned in. I heard what happened. And I need to tell you something. I stayed silent. Let her speak. You remember that Miami trip? The one where Salali said it was just the girls. I nodded. She lied. It was a cover. She met up with Makia and 2 other men. They had this thing going. I left after the first night. I could not stay. I clenched my jaw. And you are telling me this now? I thought you already knew, she said. But when I heard she got kicked out and Ayoka left, I figured you deserved someone who would finally tell you the truth. Did she ever talk about me back then? Kendra hesitated, then nodded. She said being with you felt like living in a coma, that you were dependable, but boring. She said raising a child with you felt safe, but not exciting. I closed my eyes for a second. Let it settle. Thank you, I said. Kendra stood, guilt etched into her face. I am sorry, Dakota. Truly. She left. And just like that, another wall of lies came crashing down. The woman I built my world around thought I was filler, background noise. That night, I made a decision. I would not just walk away from this. I would expose everything she built. Legally, publicly, completely. She lit the match. I was just going to hand her the fuel. The next morning, I put on my best suit. Not for court. For war. Salali thought this was about heartbreak. About a broken marriage. She had no idea. She had not just shattered trust. She humiliated a man who spent his life building a kingdom for her. And now, I was taking it all back. Stone by stone. First stop, Grant Lawson. My lawyer. Pitbull in a tailored coat. I hired him for one reason. He did not believe in mercy. He believed in burn-it-all-down strategy. He looked up as I dropped the folder on his desk. You serious about going all the way? He asked. She wants a war? I said. Then she gets one. Grant opened the folder. Inside, photos from Las Vegas. Screenshots. Journal entries. Financial records. Proof she used our accounts to send money to Makia. And 2 other men. He let out a low whistle. She is cornered. Give me 2 weeks. She will be begging for a quiet settlement. She'll be lucky to walk away with a suitcase and a toothbrush. That is not enough, I said. He raised an eyebrow. You want to go further? I want her reputation. Her status. Her little influencer world. If she made a name lying, I am going to tear it off her like old wallpaper. He leaned back. Then we are talking public relations, media play, private investigators. Do it. And just like that, it was on. By lunch, I had shut down every joint account. Canceled her credit cards. Had my accountant freeze all assets until the court split them. She was going to feel this, hour by hour. That night, I drove to the local community center, the place where she wore her halo, played the picture-perfect wife and mother. I handed the director a sealed envelope. Inside, photos, receipts, witness statements. Proof she used donation money for personal shopping sprees. The director opened it, went pale. "Who are you?" "Her husband," I said. "Soon-to-be ex." He did not ask anything else. That evening, the facade cracked. She was suspended. Her name was pulled off the volunteer roster. She called me that night. I let it ring 10 times. Then I answered. "What did you do?" she screamed. "I got kicked out of the center. My cards are frozen. My lawyer says you were dragging this through the mud." "You made this public," I said. "Every day you lied for 22 years. This is not revenge, Salali. It's destruction." "No," I said. "This is correction." "No," I said. "This is just a glimpse of the world I woke up to the day I found out Ayoka was never mine." There was a pause on the line. I could hear her breathing fast, shallow, unsure, and for once, small. Then her voice cracked just enough to sound human. "Dakota, we can work through this. You and me, we've been through worse. Don't throw us away like this." I laughed. Harder than I expected. "Salali, you threw it all away the second you crawled into that hotel bed in Vegas. Or maybe even earlier, when you wrote in that journal how much you hated waking up next to me." Silence on the line. "You think you've seen strong?" I added. "You haven't seen anything yet." Then I ended the call. I did not want justice anymore. I wanted obliteration. And I had just gotten started. 2 days passed. That is when I got a call from a number I did not recognize. "Dakota, it's Tan. Tan, Salali's best friend from college. Maid of honor at our wedding. Godmother to Ayoka. What did she want now?" "She asked to meet. Said it was off the record." I agreed, but on my terms. Public place. Eyes on every exit. I picked a corner booth at a diner across town, where I could see the front door and the parking lot. I was done trusting anyone from Salali's orbit. Tan walked in wearing sunglasses, but her body gave her away, nervous hands, shaky posture. She slid into the booth without ordering. "I know you have no reason to hear me out," she said, "but you need to understand. Most of us had no idea who Salali really was." "Most?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. She exhaled. "Some of us started to suspect, between the last-minute trips, the mystery men that came and went. She always had an excuse. Always cleaned it up. She told everyone you were possessive, controlling, cold. Of course she did. But after everything went public, things started to fall apart," Tan said. Her story didn't add up anymore. People started comparing notes. "Turned out, you weren't the one lying." I leaned back, arms folded. "So why are you here now?" "Because I am done covering for her. And because you need to know what she's planning next." I sat up straighter. "She's trying to flip the script. Make you out as the manipulator. She's rewriting history, turning herself into a scared young mother who was forced to lie for survival. She's already started pulling Ayoka into it too. Giving interviews. Spinning this narrative where you abused them both emotionally, mentally. Said you told Ayoka she wasn't your daughter just to hurt her." I clenched my fist beneath the table. My throat tightened. Ayoka, the girl I raised, tucked into bed, stood beside in every sickness and success, being used as a prop in her mother's charade. "I've got hard evidence," I said. "You'll need more," Tan replied, sliding a thick envelope across the table. Inside were years of group chat screenshots, voice messages, photos, things Salali had sent her over the years. One stood out. A message where Salali actually joked that Ayoka's nose looks just like Makia's. My hands were trembling again. But not from pain. From clarity. "Why now?" I asked. "Why are you really helping me?" Tan looked down. "Because I was one of her pawns. I helped her lie. Covered for her. Told you we were shopping when she was off in a hotel bed with some stranger. I did not think she would drag Ayoka into this." I nodded. "Just once." "Thanks." She stood up. "For what it's worth, I always thought you deserved more." She left. And just like that, another brick fell out of Salali's carefully constructed world. The woman I had given my entire heart to thought I was boring. A placeholder. Someone who was safe, but never enough. That night, I made my decision. I would not just survive this. I would end it. She lit the match. I would give her the gas can. The next morning, I dressed sharp. Not for court. For battle. Salali thought this was about heartbreak. She was wrong. She had not just ruined a marriage, she had insulted the man who built her a home, a life, a reputation she could not stop flaunting. And now I was taking every inch of that reputation back. First stop, Grant Lawson, my attorney. He was not the kind to hope for fair fights. He preferred scorched earth. I dropped Tayan's envelope on his desk. She wants a war, I said. Let's give her one. He opened the envelope, flipped through the screenshots, read journal entries out loud, paused at the Vegas photos. She's done, he said. Give me the weekend. I'll have a full timeline built. By Monday, we launch. I nodded. Do it. That weekend, I stayed quiet. Let her dig her own grave. She posted 2 reels on her social media. One of her crying in the driver's seat of her SUV, talking about betrayal, about heartbreak, about how men always silence strong women. The comments were filled with pity. You're so brave. Men are garbage. Stay strong, queen. I said nothing. Just waited. Monday came, and we dropped everything. A full expose titled, The Wife Who Lied for 20 Years, A Father's Truth. Screenshots, voice notes, financial records, DNA confirmation, a legal summary from Grant confirming the paternity fraud, asset misuse, and reputational deception. By noon, her social media blew up. By dinner, her sponsors had cut her loose. Her influencer accounts were locked. The community center dropped her from their board. And then a message from Ayoka. We need to talk. At 7:42 p.m., the front door creaked open. No knock. No warning. Just the turn of the knob and the sound of sneakers on wood floors. I stayed on the couch. I knew who it was. She stepped in wearing a hoodie, hair pulled back, eyes red and puffy like she had not stopped crying since sunrise. We stared at each other in silence. Then she whispered, Is it all true? I did not speak. Just slid the folder from the coffee table toward her. She sat, opened it, and page by page, truth unfolded in her hands. Photos, test results, her mother's words in black ink. 10 minutes passed. She closed the folder, leaned back, stared at the ceiling. I thought you were just bitter, trying to get revenge. I said, but not with lies. I did not have to invent anything. I just told the truth. She swallowed hard. She said you hit her once. That you screamed at her. That you told me I wasn't yours just to wound her. I looked her dead in the eyes. I never touched her, never raised my voice. And I did not tell you about the DNA to hurt her. I told you because you deserved the truth, even if it destroyed everything. She nodded slowly. I told you not to contact me again. I know. She met my eyes. And for the first time since all this started, I saw it. Not anger. Not shame. Guilt. I am sorry, she said softly. I did not know who to believe. You believed her. I said, I raised you for 22 years. And the second someone else cried louder, you chose their side. She winced. I didn't mean to choose. It all happened so fast. She broke down. Said she had nothing left. I thought she needed me. And what about me? I said, voice low and sharp. What was I? A broken toy? Something to toss once it stopped playing along with her story. I was scared, she said. I nodded. So was I. The air in the room went heavy. You could feel it pressing down like a storm about to break. She looked at the floor, then back at me. I took a test myself, Ayoka said, her voice barely a whisper. I needed to know. She paused. It matched. Makya, he's my biological father. My stomach nodded, even though I already knew. Hearing her say it made it feel final, like a chapter slammed shut. So what now? I asked. She shrugged, her eyes wet. I do not know. I want to hate her. But she's still my mom. And I do not know what that makes me anymore. You are still Ayoka. You are still the kid who made me sit through that animated fish movie 20 times in a row. Still the one who begged me not to turn off the nightlight. But no, I am not your father anymore. Not on paper. Her eyes welled with tears. But do you still love me? I paused. I do not know. That was the truth. I want to. I really do. But right now, I do not even know who you are. She started crying. I let her. No hugging. No reaching for comfort. That moment had not been earned yet. After a while, she stood up. I should go. She reached the door, then stopped. She's falling apart, she said. No friends left. No job. No clue what to do next. She said you took everything from her. I looked her dead in the eyes. She took everything from me. I just took it back. Ayoka hesitated, her hand still on the doorknob. If she does something stupid, it'll be your fault. I raised my eyebrows. No, Ayoka. If she does something reckless, That's on her. That's the problem. You and your mother never figured it out. Actions have consequences. The door clicked shut behind her, and for the first time since Salali walked out, I felt peace. It lasted less than an hour. Blue and red lights flashed through the window like a carnival from hell. There was a knock. I opened the door to find two uniformed officers standing there stone-faced and stiff. Dakota Waya, the taller one, asked. Yes. We need you to come with us. There's been an accusation, domestic violence. Threats made against your ex-wife. We just want to ask a few questions. It was a setup. Her last trick. Cheap, desperate, and designed to bury me alive. I did not argue. Did not resist. Just grabbed my coat and followed them out. My lawyer's card was already in my wallet, ready for this exact moment. They led me into a cold room. No windows. Just 4 blank walls and a metal table that could chill your spine. Across from me, an officer read out her statement. She claims you went in her temporary apartment 2 nights ago. That you slammed her into a wall. Screamed that she ruined your life. Threatened to kill her if she didn't disappear. All lies. I had not seen Salali since she walked out of our house with her suitcase. But she knew what she was doing. She knew in cases like this, people believe the story before they believe the truth. Do you have an alibi? The officer asked. I let out a dry laugh. I was home, watching emails roll in while her reputation caught fire online. Anyone who can confirm that? My lawyer. He sent me timestamped documents that night. Check the records. You'll see I was logged in, not out beating someone. The officer scribbled that down. And your daughter? She says you seemed emotionally unstable when she visited yesterday. I stared him in the eye. That unstable man gave her the folder of evidence she used to confront the liar who raised her. I didn't yell. I didn't touch her. Ask her. He nodded slowly. An hour later, I was out. No charges. Just a pending review. Outside, the cold air hit me like a slap. My phone buzzed. It was Grant. She filed it, he said. Full statement. No bruises, no witnesses. Just noise. She's drowning, I said. And drowning people drag others down with them, he replied. Even if it means clawing at ghosts. I want a restraining order. No calls. No texts. If she so much as walks by my house, I want her held in contempt. We'll file it first thing tomorrow. I hung up and sat in my truck for a long time. Watched people walk by, laughing, scrolling their phones. Wondered how many of them were smiling through the same kind of rot I had lived with. When I finally got home, the silence hit different. No smell of dinner. No footsteps upstairs. No Haley. No marriage. Just quiet, but not empty. I walked into the bedroom and pulled open the drawer where I used to keep Salali's old love letters. Read one last line before dumping the whole stack into the fireplace. Lit a match. Watched them turn to ash. Days passed. The accusation? Dead on arrival. No marks. No proof. No case. The police dropped it. Quietly. But by then, her name was already scorched. Her sponsorships? Gone. Social accounts? Deactivated. Friends? Ghosted. She became a pariah in record time. Then one day, I got a message from Ayoka. One word. Sorry. I did not respond. She made her choice. Now she could live with it. A month later, it was official. The divorce was finalized. No alimony. No property. No car. Salali walked away with exactly what she brought into the marriage. Nothing. I stood in that courtroom, staring across the aisle at her. No makeup. No jewelry. Her face pale and blank. Not smug anymore. Just hollow. As we walked out, she stopped me. You think you won? She said, voice low. I looked at her steady, calm. No, I said. I didn't win. I just survived. And you? You turned everything you touched into rubble. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I was already walking away. Conclusion. So, what did I learn? That love built on lies always comes crashing down. That blind loyalty is not noble, it is dangerous. And sometimes the people closest to you can be the most vicious. If you are reading this, take it from a man who gave everything and nearly lost himself in the process. Do not ignore the red flags just because you love the color. Because one day, you might wake up next to someone who is not just lying to you, they are building your prison, one fake smile at a time.